Look at me. I'm holding Phoebe Berman. I'm so excited. Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cam, and today I have a video that I've been waiting to film for you since before I even made this channel. Today we are reading my most anticipated release of 2026. This is Phoebe Berman's Gonna Lose It by Brooke Averick. This is Brooke's debut novel, and if you're not aware of who she is, she hosts Brooke and Connor Make a Podcast with her friend Connor Wood, and I have been a big fan of theirs for a long time. So when the announcement for this came out in December 2024, I put the date in my calendar. And it's actually Sunday. This doesn't come out until Tuesday officially, but I happened to randomly be at the bookstore this afternoon and there she was. Do I have a pre-order coming in on Tuesday? Absolutely I do. I'll probably end up annotating this one and then giving that fresh copy to a friend or something. Maybe I'll annotate it for them. Obviously, I think this will translate just fine for people who have never heard of Brooke, but as a fan, I am ecstatic. However, since this is in my hands 2 days earlier than anticipated, I do not have nearly as much things done as I wanted to have done by Tuesday. So we are gonna take a time out. I'm gonna do some homework. I'm in spring classes online, so we are going to set her down and try to clear up the responsibilities so we can really dive into this. Future Cam just popping in because I went to edit the next clip and I was talking about love interests and the author's note, and I never even told you what's going on with Phoebe. So here's the deal. I had read the author's note prior to release day on Brooke's Instagram. I would recommend you going and finding it somewhere on the internet. It's a great read. Brooke herself suffers with anxiety and OCD, and that comes with intimacy anxiety. So she basically says that she loves romance books so much, but she's always confused how the characters have no anxiety, nerves, fear, lack of confidence, and suddenly they're sleeping together. And there's no in between. So we get to follow Phoebe. She is 1 month out from her 30th birthday and she's a virgin. She doesn't want to be a virgin, but she does have this intimacy anxiety. She tends to be a nervous puker, that sort of thing. So she gets together with her hilarious group of friends and they devise a list. She basically has a checklist that will help her lose her virginity before her 30th birthday. What I've always loved about this is that the book itself came out about a month before Brooke's 30th birthday, so it worked out perfectly. The only other thing I'll add here is that she ends up having 3 love interests throughout the course of the story, so that's your context. Just from reading the synopsis and getting the vibes, my mom says it's gonna be the roommate, because if you don't know, there's 3 potential love interests in here. In honor of this occasion, I also bought my very first annotation tabs. I have never really annotated books like this. I've never used tabs, but I have given annotated books as gifts and just written in them. I thought, what better time? Okay, I just sat down. I've got all of the essentials, my tabs, my phone that matches perfectly somehow, and a pen. I'm scared to use a pen in here. I don't know if this pen's good for annotating. I don't know if I'm gonna wanna write in here at all, if I'm gonna feel bad doing so. I don't know. I don't know what my vibe will be, but let's do it. Also, I feel like I have to mention the style of the first printing of this book. Hold on, I'll show you. It has these cherry end papers on both sides. And then I believe also for the first edition, it's got the cherry foil on the front of the hardcover. I don't think printings after this will have it, but it is also on the spine. And here's Miss Girl herself. I actually don't know the last time that I read a hardcover. This feels strange. The dedication just says, "For the nervous pukers." That's not me, but I'll take it. It kind of has a lot of title pages. This is after the author's note. A lot of space for me to write notes if I decide to gift an annotated copy to another person. This is the first paragraph. All I had ever thought about was falling in love. There were approximately 150 boys in my grade at Manhasset Central Middle School. By the time I turned 12, I had been in love with at least 125 of them. If I didn't have a crush, I didn't see a point in getting out of bed in the morning. Don't think you can loosen a hardcover the same way you loosen a paperback. Help.
Phoebe! some chocolate.
Lucas's hairy thigh was pressed up against my much hairier thigh, a recent development from over the summer. I was talking about her mom, and then it says, when I finally asked her to teach me to shave, she refused to let me shave above the knee. It's a different type of hair up there, she had said. Once you start shaving it, you'll never be able to stop. Wasn't that the point? Lucas didn't seem to mind my thigh hair, though, as his sweaty hand rested on top of it. Poor Phoebe. I'm dying. Was this what it was supposed to feel like before your first kiss? I thought back to my books. Not once was there a mention of something like this happening to any of the characters leading up to a kissing scene. This wasn't right. And for the first time, I thought, there's something really wrong with me. Phoebe. I wondered how long I could get away with staying behind the pole. Forever wouldn't have been long enough. Well... I have to Google if that even existed. Did you know that there was a Twilight-themed notebook? And it was from the Moleskin of a Killer collection? Moleskin of a Killer. I'm Googling. I don't think that the Moleskin of a Killer collection was a real thing. So that was a funny one, Brooklyn. I see you. I'm so curious how much I'm gonna recognize from watching the podcast. She got a gift from her class, and it's an embroidered tote bag that says Teacher Phoebe. And just in bonus, I was listening, and she was talking about how the students all called a janitor at one of her schools Teacher, I forget what his first name was, but it was like Teacher Ethan, even though he was the janitor. And Connor goes, wait, you guys all called the janitor Teacher Ethan? And she goes, yeah. And I'm like, so I think it's funny that she has Teacher Phoebe on her bag. Why not Miss Phoebe? Teacher Phoebe. Imagine a kid nagging you, Teacher Phoebe! It's a couple hours later, and I seriously have not moved. I am already about halfway through this, and I'm having a very good time. This is what the annotation tabs are looking like. I was hesitant at first to get my pen out and start writing in here. I haven't written actual annotations, but I've got underlining and smiley faces, hearts, all that stuff. So the system that I ended up going for with my tabs is 3 colors correspond to 1 love interest each. The green tabs are Jonathan moments. He is Phoebe's roommate, and he's introduced as having this green shirt that brings out the green in his hazel eyes. They've been friends since college, since she moved into her dorm, and she heard him listening to Summer Nights off the Grease soundtrack. Kismet, match made in heaven. Blue is for Matthew, and he just so happens to have blue eyes, which I later found out. But Matthew is the first person that Phoebe ever liked on a dating app, and they had a few dates set up, but he lives in her home state of New York, and she lives in Los Angeles. So every time she goes home, she ends up canceling their plans, but they play a lot of phone games together. They're doing Wordle, they're doing Words with Friends. They've got it all. And then the third one here, which is the lightest color, they kind of look clear or white on here, but those are for Finn. Finn is the new 4th grade teacher at the school that Phoebe teaches pre-K at, and it just so happens that they're doing buddy reading and the 4th graders get placed with Phoebe's pre-K students. So they've had a few funny teacher interactions, and now they're starting to hang out outside of school, and it's very cutesy so far. But Jonathan doesn't seem too impressed, but then Jonathan hangs out with another girl named Sydney, so it's a whole thing. I don't know. That's kind of where we're at right now. I'm really enjoying the style. It is super quick to get through. Again, it's only 288 pages, so it's short in general, but I'm scared to sit and binge it because I don't want it to be over. I've waited 2 years for this book, and then it's just going to be done probably tomorrow, which is nuts. I could totally see myself annotating this and giving it to a friend. Obviously, I have no idea how the ending plays out. I have no idea who she's gonna pick right now, if she picks anyone. I said in one short form video that I made that I don't think she'll pick anyone. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't even know if I have a favorite. It's kind of Jonathan, and a kind of Finn. But we haven't even really seen Matthew yet. The tabs make everything so much easier to bring up examples. Matthew and Phoebe text a whole bunch. When they first matched, he said, "Phoebe Berman, it's been a long time." I froze. How did he know my last name? Had we met before? If we had, there was no way I would have forgotten a face like his. Blah, blah, blah. She responds, "It sure has. Tell me about the first time we met. I want to relive it." You're such a romantic. I remember that about you. I sat behind you in Mr. Gordon's class. I could see you reading 50 Shades of Grey behind your calc textbook. So then she goes and like digs up yearbook photos and she goes, "Oh my God, you cut your hair." He says, "I was going through something. It won't happen again, I promise." So anyways, fast forward. One day he sends her his Wordle score and they put it in the book like that. And he says, "Is it sad that swapping scores with you is the best part of my day? I can't wait to play in person." Oh, poor Matthew. Where it stands now, you're not going to get to, but I guess we'll see. This is Jonathan's yearning. He's not yearning, he's jealous. 3 little exclamation marks on this. It says, "Because for the first time in my life, the nagging voice in the back of my mind that's always been wondering when, is starting to ask, who? Who? Anyways, as for my actual thoughts as a whole so far, the writing is super fun and easy to comprehend. There's lots of references to things like 50 Shades, Wattpad books, things like that. There are a few minor, not errors, but things that kind of stop me and go, is that grammatically correct? I don't know. But other than that, the friends all feel very realistic. I know that Brooke herself has a huge friend group, and one of these characters, she has said, is loosely based off of her friend Tristan, and I picked him out right away. His name is Alex. He's a sweetheart. That's what the pink tab, I didn't even explain. The pink tabs that you're seeing, the last color here, are the friend group moments, or just me going, "Aw." And I'm saving the red because there has to be some sort of love proclamation, right? The pink is for the BFF moments. And then also I put a pink tab when she wrote a list of her accomplishments. And she put moved across the country, found Jonathan, Nora, Meg, and Alex. It's also funny because I know she has a real friend named Meg, or Megan they call her. So I'm interested as to why that name landed in the book. But also the name, maybe it's an homage because the name Jen also shows up. And I know she has a friend Jen. Not to be a freak, but also she digs up a yearbook and the superlative that she got is Phoebe Berman, most likely to experience an extraordinary love story. I think she is too. Anyways, the friend group is very lovable. The side characters at school are pretty lovable as well. I love how she calls everyone Teacher Rob, Teacher Phoebe, Teacher Cheryl. It's so cute. I've never heard people actually do that, but maybe for pre-K, it's a thing. I'm not sure. I love it. The plot point that we're coming to now, however, that she's kind of struggling with is that her younger sister is getting married. So she's home for the wedding and she's canceled all her plans with Matthew and she's thinking, how is my child sister getting married? Her sister's 22, but Phoebe's almost 30. She's like, "I never had a boyfriend and you're gonna go ahead and get married." Okay, cool. She's kind of having to deal with that, but her family recognizes that it's gonna be a hard weekend for her. And I think somehow Matthew's just going to end up being at the wedding because I don't think or maybe she'll get so fed up and need somewhere to go and then she'll call Matthew. I don't know. The options are pretty endless right now. I seriously don't know. I'm not leaning in any certain direction. I like the vibe of Finn and Jonathan more than Matthew, but also I've drawn hearts around Matthew's texts. So it could be any one of them, and like I said, it could also be none of them. Either way, it's going to be beautiful, it's going to be messy, and I'm so excited. I'm having a very good time. But like I said, I'm just sad that it's going to end so soon. It's a short book. I didn't realize it was only 288 pages. So I'm hoping the next one she's writing will be a little bit longer because I'm overall very impressed with this being Brooke's debut novel. I think this is a really important book too because I agree with what Brooke says in the author's note, which is basically she wrote this because she experiences this form of intimacy anxiety and she never sees it in her romance books that she loves so much. So that's the page 135 update. I guess I should be holding up the book sleeve. It's so cute. I can't wait to see all the tabs with the sleeve on, but Lord knows we're not reading with that thing, so. Of course. this is an appropriate moment for my first red tab because I was in shock. I don't know how I didn't see that coming. Good morning, Phoebes and Phoebettes. Happy May 26th, aka Phoebe release day. I'm in my Phoebe best. I hope you are too. Let's do a get ready with me while we talk about this book. You actually do not want to know how long that just took, and it looks the same, if not worse. I don't know what's going on here. We're not going to talk about it. So, I was reading last night, and I got to a certain point, right about here where this red tab is. I can't tell you what happened, but I will say there is a pretty major twist. My jaw was on the floor. You saw the clips. When I tell you, I actually should count because literal pages before the twist, I was all up in here going, I don't know who it's gonna be. How are we gonna figure this all out? I should have seen it coming from a mile away. If you know Brooke, you should have seen it coming, but you won't because you'll be so invested and so excited. And Phoebe will get you. She got my ass. I don't know what else to say. In this instance, the red tab just marks the end of days. It marks where this event took place, so I will always remember and always be able to go back because wow. And I can't imagine how, well, I can see where one thing is gonna go, can't see what's gonna happen with the rest of the novel. I'll make a spoiler section because this is quite literally a brand new book today, the day that I'm filming. So obviously most of you have not read it yet, but oh my God. That's all I can say. I've been in everyone's Instagram comments saying, oh my God, because literally, I don't know how I did not see the twist coming because I know Brooke fairly well, I would say. She's one of my good friends, parasocially speaking, of course, and I did not catch on. So now it's like I almost want to go back and immediately reread, which I absolutely should not do. However, when the audio comes out, I am in line on Libby already. Miss Brooke recorded the audio herself, which I love when authors do that. Even though this isn't a memoir, I think it's really exciting that she did that. I mean, she has experience in front of a microphone. Quite literally have no idea where I was going with that. I lost my train of thought. But, oh, I didn't see the twist coming. Brooke's my good friend. Yeah, should have known. If you know Brooke, actually no, don't think about it. Go in blind, read, enjoy, and be shocked because I was shocked and seriously, like, of course, after I read it, I was like, yeah, duh. It's not that easy when you're reading it. I still have like 40 pages left, so I'm really intrigued to see how we wrap it up in the next 40. I wish this book was so much longer. She's so sweet, but she's so short. I would read like Sarah J. Maas length novels of this shit. I think I have to finish this Get Ready With Me in the spoiler section so I can really talk about it. I'll see you there. The best part is, cherries are not relevant to the plot at all. Cherries are strictly on the cover and gorgeous, and it's cherry season. Anyways, I have to go like do work stuff now, I guess. I'm not gonna read this until later this evening because the next time I open it, I'm not gonna stop. And then it'll be over and I'm gonna be sad, but it's gonna be fine. Today's a day of celebration. Happy Phoebe Day. Seriously, everyone, go read it. The craziest thing just happened. I came home and guess what was on the doorstep? The tear thing did not tear nicely. Ow. This was so lovingly ordered for me on December 8th by my mom. My mom's doing the Lord's work. She said it was dropped off at 3:58 p.m. and I'm not wearing a mic, so I hope you can hear me over her nightly hot water. So here they are, Phoebe and her sister Phoebe. So if you're my friend or my cousin, or don't be surprised when this shows up. I've got my emotional support Phoebe and my emotional damage Phoebe. Let's do it. One of my favorite characters is Alex. He is the gay best friend of the friend group, and something happened, I won't tell you what. Someone says, "It's gonna be okay." It's not, Alex moaned like he was in pain. All the guys at gay poker are going to want you. Hot Craig, Dante, regular Craig. He threw his head into his hands. Just when I thought I had a shot with regular Craig. Imagine being called a regular Craig in comparison to Hot Craig. Who's named Craig in the year of our Lord 2026? Do you know a Craig? But are they younger than 30? Absolutely not. I didn't shed a tear until the acknowledgements. Oh my god, I'm so parasocial. I feel so weird that this is done. I'm so excited for whatever she writes next. And I'm gonna sit on my thoughts, but what I will say right now, this is just something that I noticed in passing and wanted to talk about. The only writing critique that I have of this is that we're throwing our arms around everyone at every turn. I throw my hands around his neck. I see my best friends and I throw my arms around her. I throw my arm around you. I throw my arm around me. But other than that, this was really good writing from what I can tell. Maybe that's biased, I don't know. The real test will be when my mom reads it as someone who thought Brooke and Connor were siblings. And called her Phoebe Berman. I'll come back to you when I have thoughts. The time has finally come to give my final thoughts on Phoebe. I finished this on the 26th, so I was very sad that the same day that she was introduced to the world is the day that I finished. I didn't make a super long-winded Goodreads review because I knew that this video was coming, but what I did say on Goodreads is that my only problem with this book is how short it ended up being. When I found it at the bookstore, I was actually kind of shocked. I didn't realize it would be less than 300 pages. So in 2-3 sittings, I was done. Something that I've been so excited for 2 years was just over. But it's not really over because I've been loving everyone's posts and reviews and thoughts. And actually, I think I mentioned somewhere in this video, I'm interested to see where the cherries come in or if they come in. I just got a notification from the Brooke and Connor Facebook group. Someone said the same thing. They're like, anyone who's finished Phoebe, did I miss something? And someone said, hey, popping your cherry, losing your virginity. I did not put those ones together. So that's the symbolism of the cherries. So it really goes without saying that this was 5 stars for me. I'm still in shock that I didn't see the twist coming, especially just being a fan of Brooke and knowing the things that she's a fan of and her energy. Somehow, it got me and it got me good. I seriously would recommend everyone to pick this up. The humor in it really does stand out to me as well. It feels very much Brooke. But if you don't know the podcast or know Brooke, you'll still enjoy this. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that the day this came out was also the first day of Brooke's book tour. And I thought about going to the stop in Seattle, but I don't think I'm gonna make it. But opening night, all of her family and all of her friends were there. They were all having this big day in New York, finding Phoebe at Barnes. It's a dream to go to that 4-story Barnes & Noble, never mind see your own book there. I'm sure that's insane. And I was feeling very parasocial and very emo. I was reposting pictures like crazy. It really does feel like Phoebe is bringing back rom-coms, and again, I was so impressed with the writing. There were only a few things that I felt were repetitive or not inconsistent, but I don't know. It has lots of great references to pop culture and little nods, like there's a lady in here who she named, her last name was Groff, and that is just a little nod to Jonathan Groff. I mean, I could flip through my tabs in here forever and find so many fun things. If you aren't quite convinced, you should definitely go look at my Instagram. I'm working on a big graphic post to show you the visuals and the nostalgia and the vibes that this book encompasses. So if you haven't read it and you don't want to be spoiled, now would be the time to click off. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you'll go pick up Phoebe Berman's Gonna Lose It this summer. It is perfect and short and sweet and funny and real. And I think that's really important. I really hope I've convinced you to pick up Phoebe Berman, and if not, I hope you enjoyed. Welcome to Spoiler Town. If you're seeing this, you either don't care or you've already read Phoebe. Thanks for being here either way. Oh my god. I haven't even finished at the time of recording this part, and Whew. Phoebe just puked on a boy in 7th grade to the tune of something unpredictable. Every head in the auditorium swiveled away from the presentation at the front and toward the chaos in the back. Lucas got up and ran to the exit, still yelling and covered in the contents of my stomach. The speaker blasted the song's final line, "I hope you had the time of your life," as the door slammed shut behind him. She wanted to open up with a prologue about throwing up Frosted Flakes on your 7th grade crush in the back of the assembly. Yeah. Okay, bear with me, but I need to talk. I went on a walk this morning and I was still just thinking about how baffled I am by the whole situation. I guess I can say it, this is spoilers. I flipped, did not see the twist about Jonathan and Finn being together until it was right in front of my face. She's talking about how his room smells like Jonathan. And I was like, oh, weird. And even on the page it says like, oh, he must use Jonathan's same cologne. That's so weird. I've never smelled it on him. Right. Okay. I was going along with it. I was confused. 2 sentences later, it is Jonathan's shirt. Right. Cool. Get Ready With Me was not the format for this conversation. Please hold. Page 209. I'll never forget you. Look at. On 208, I literally underlined, "I wish Jonathan was here. I feel naked without him next to me." And then you come over here. The first thing I notice is the overwhelming smell of musk and sandalwood. How odd. Finn and Jonathan must wear the same cologne. Blah, 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 blah. Why haven't I smelled it on Finn at school? The neat freak in me can't help myself. I walk across the room to the bed, dropping to my knees to grab what looks to be a green t-shirt. Why did I pick the green tabs? I'm about to drop it into the hamper when the shade of green strikes me as oddly familiar. I uncrumple the fabric, holding it out in front of me. I know this shirt. My heart begins to pound. On instinct, I bring the shirt close to my nose, burying my face in the fabric. The smell of Jonathan's cologne is overwhelming because this is his shirt. This is his shirt. And then she checks her Find My Friends, and it's the same place she's found Jonathan, and she thought Jonathan was sleeping with some dumb bitch named Sydney. No, it's so much worse. Ugh, I really have no idea who it's gonna be. No one? Question mark? That was page 174, and by 209, everything had kind of been flipped, completely 360, 180, 360 again. What's so funny is I really didn't have a favorite before the reveal, and now I'm like, oh my god, it's always been Matthew. No, babe, you had no idea. You had simply not a clue. Jonathan and Finn were gay for each other. So naturally, with Jonathan and Finn out of the equation, we ended up with Matthew, and I think that that was a really sweet way to go about it. He really genuinely seemed to care for her, and it's interesting that they mentioned that they went to high school together because Phoebe doesn't even remember him. But I guess it adds a layer of that sweetness, like he always kind of had a crush on her. But he grew up to be a photographer. But basically every text in here makes me giggle, especially with Alex. Alex is one of my favorite characters for sure. He reminds me so much of Tristan, who he is loosely based on. And I love that Alex also found a bit of a love interest in Jeffrey. That's so cute. The funny part is I split my tabs up to be one color per male love interest. And I do actually have the most tabs for Jonathan before the big reveal. So I really did secretly want it to be him. I think a lot of people probably did, but it's sweet how it ended up. And again, I was pleasantly surprised by the twist. And I'm actually really excited that this is almost long distance representation. Recently, I talked about not being able to find books that were like happy long distance novels. I'm in a long distance relationship of about 4 years, long distance, 6 years total. I did a birthday challenge where I had to find a book for prompts, and one of them was long distance. And I Googled, because I didn't even know any off the top of my head, they're all so sad. I've heard that Abby Jimenez has one. They didn't have it at the bookstore that day, but secretly this at the end becomes happy long distance. Anyways, I can't wait to see what Brooke writes next. I realized that it might not be a second Phoebe. I was operating on the assumption that it was a 2-book Phoebe deal. I think it's a 2-book deal all-encompassing. So that leaves the door wide open, and I'm so excited to see what comes next. So if you take anything from this video, let it be watch a Brooke and Connor episode, wear red and pink, and happy cherry season. Because Cameron Jablonski has lost it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope I've convinced you to read Phoebe Berman, and I hope you'll stick around. Follow me on Instagram. I've got a lot of Phoebe posts coming. They're probably not gonna stop. And I hope you'll subscribe here as well, because I've got a lot of fun things planned this year, like an ACOTAR reread and my first time reading The Hunger Games. You didn't hear that from me, but if you're interested, please subscribe. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Bye! As of the day I'm posting this, Phoebe's coming to Netflix. So everyone get pumped, everyone go read it, and have the time of your life. No pun intended.